All right, so I just want to show you guys the new 905 cheat sheet. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I have it pulled up here, and just as an FYI, let's just go over some current call things. Looking at it right now. This is going to replace the old PGA dashboard. Okay, all the information from the dashboard is still going to be available, whether that's on the cheat sheet or whether that's on the course data sheet, the betting sheet, or the player tournament log. Okay, that's all still going to be there. I just wanted to get a tool that, updates consistently throughout the week, one in which I don't have to push manual updates. So that's why I went with the cheat sheet here. So what's included in the 905 cheat sheet is all the same stuff from last year. You got the player profile, got the course history, got the recent form, got the stat fit, got the specialist page, and then we had the cheat sheet, okay? But I went ahead and I made some updates. So let's talk about those updates. And while speaking of updates, guys, just a reminder, the page does update at 6 p.m. on Monday Central Standard Time, okay? Most weeks, it should be updated prior to that. This really just depends on DraftKings, FanDuel, and all the other companies, Yahoo as well. That depends on them when they get the salaries out. And obviously on different weeks in which the tournament doesn't take place on Thursday, that might be a little bit different, just so you know. Another update as well. So this week, we only have a PGA Tour event. I might include Korn Ferry Tour events as well. Still, I'm going to be doing DP Tour events. Same thing with DP Tour events, but I try to shoot for Tuesday or Wednesday morning just because DraftKings does not get the salaries out at the same time as it does for the PGA Tour. So typically speaking, let's just shoot for Wednesday because it's kind of just a crapshoot as to when they give us the salaries for the DP Tour and also the Korn Ferry Tour. Okay, so looking at this, we have the tournament name right here. That's there. The tournament information. This is huge. Okay, so we just click on this to pop it up. Okay, and this is going to give us all the data that we need for that week's tournament. Okay, so we're going to have the basic stuff like course designer, type of greens, type of length, and this is all stuff that goes into the specialist rating. This stuff right here, basically. We have the course history, so course history 1 or H1. We have that all listed here, what's going into that, the tournament years. And then we also have the key stats. So that's all going to be indicated here. I wanted to put that into its own separate pop-up to make it easier to follow. Another cool thing that we have is going to be the data slicer. This is another pop-up, and this will show you guys, you can pretty much sort by whichever data you want. And if there's anything more you want, let me know in the Discord chat and I can, try to update that. So we have that included in here. I want to get it so you guys could sort it by whatever you want. So let's say we want to just look at golfers that are in the value tier price point range. So under 7K or so. We have that set. Let's go ahead and exit out of this and we'll see that we only have golfers that are listed under 7K. Now, if we want to go ahead and adjust that, do this. Let's say we only want to look at the high tier. Boom, we have that set. Let's go ahead and look at that. And that's how that's done. And I just think that's awesome. Okay, so that's another add-on. And now we have a bunch of other stuff as well. We still have the data tags. Okay, so if you just want to see which players are going to be the top plays, the core plays for that slate, you click on core plays, and this is the data tag. This is, I know AI is a big thing right now. Let's just say this is the AI intelligence saying, hey, these are the core plays for that week. And I'm pretty happy with where this is at. Now, for the Century Tournament of Champions, these are the best players from last year, guys. It's no shock that a lot of them are popping up as core plays, okay? Very rare. Okay, for the Century Tournament Champions, very rare. But because it's that tournament, that's why they're popping up. If it was a normal tournament, I would say we typically have about 4 core plays. Then we have high exposure plays and whatnot, low exposure plays, everything. It kind of just sorts it by how you should target players, how you should prioritize the player. So from there, we also have this information tab. If you guys are ever confused as to kind of what that is, that's right there. Also have that here as well, kind of what goes into the cheat sheet itself. Another thing you could potentially do is go focus mode. This will pop it up in its own separate chart. A little bit easier to scroll and navigate that way, okay? Because it's in its own data table. So pretty fun stuff there as well. Let's show you guys some more stuff inside the cheat sheet, and I'll be showing you guys the custom model, the lineup tool, and then the player log as well. Okay, just an FYI as well. Let's look at this. So let's say you want to look at a player profile. You click on the player and then you click on player profile. That'll pop it up, okay, which is awesome. And now I have this color scaled so we can see what might be a reason as to why a player is a bad play. What is their weakness? Okay, so really with Rory, he's not in this tournament, so the salary still need to update and whatnot, but using this as an example, his only poor thing would be recent form 8 events ago. Okay, so that's pretty awesome. And just touched on this, guys. H1 to H4 means course history or event history. KS1 to KS4, key stat. Okay, and then RF1 to RF whatever, recent form. Okay, we have to break it down like that so that we're having the same data go into this. And it's just easier to follow along. Another way that you can access the player profile is when you're not on the cheat sheet. So let's go to course history. You then click on player profile, and it's a slightly different view. You could go ahead and choose whichever golfer you want then. And then I have it kind of sorted like a data table. Just a different view. If you guys choose to go that route, you can as well. It's fine. And then we have everything kind of listed out, a little bit easier to follow, than the little player profile pop up. So now let's talk about course history. This was redesigned a little bit as well. This is going to show you guys the course history through the last 4 years. Once again, event history, course history matters the most through the last 4 years. I could include the last 5 starts. I know people want that, but I want the data to be the most actionable for you guys. I don't want to include data points just to include them. I could include year 5. It is nice to look at. And really with course history, what we have found out is that really the starts are great. Like what they average at the tournaments are great. Okay. What really matters is just the fact that they have starts. Okay. Especially over the last 4 years. The most recent start though, the previous year, that's the most important. So that's really what I'm gearing in on when I'm looking at course history is, did they have a start the previous year? How much starts do they have? And that's why I have the course history count here as well. That's a fun feature. So then let's get into recent form. And this is always just going to be who's ever ranking out best in course history, guys. I thought it looked cool. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good graphic. Sometimes players are going to be tied for top in course history. So if the graphic looks weird, that's why. Now let's get into recent form. Going to be the same stuff. One thing that I like to look at a lot is like cuts made. This is their cut streak. Obviously, this is their salary. This is DK salary. Most people use DraftKings. I do have the FanDuel view in there in the player profile. Probably going to add some more FanDuel stuff. Just trying to figure out where to put it. Maybe like a value report. That's probably what I'll do. But we can see recent form through the last 5 events. That's when it's most significant, guys. It's the last 5, 7, and then it really jumps. Okay, but I have it sorted by recent form average, last 5 events, last 10 events, last 15, and then we could go by rank as well. You could go by cut percentage and then overall recent form rank. The recent form rank is a little bit different than these 3 right here. Also included in recent form rank is kind of cut percent, like average finish. There's different stuff that goes into it. So you are best going from the recent form rank when you're trying to find that stuff, but there is other data points that go into it, just so you know. So stat fit, this is a little bit different of a tab. And as you can see, we don't have a picture for Tom Kim for this week. So behind my image here is, and I can't move the camera right now, is the key stats that we're looking at. So I'll tell you what are the key stats. Yeah, let me scroll down a little bit. Strokes gained total, effective scoring. That's that 9 to 5 stat. Greens gain, birdie or better percentage. So we can see those are going to be the key stats for this tournament. And thus we can see which players are ranking out the best. But let's say you kind of want to do it yourself. You wanted to add in your own data points. Let's say you wanted to add in ball striking. That's fine. You can add in ball striking in there. And then that's going to update the total. So you guys can see which players are the best players. Let's say you wanted to pull in birdie or better percentage. You can do that as well. That's why I have this set up this way instead of like the recent form and course history, because if you guys want to go ahead and kind of update the key stats yourself to see which players you think are the best, or just add a different data point in there, you can do that. And this is where you do that. I think it's a great feature to have on the cheat sheet. Now let's go ahead and look at the specialist. The specialist page is basically set up the same, a little bit easier to view because there's not as much data points going into it. Okay, so let's just say you want to look at who are the best at putting on these greens. You just click greens. Or let's just say you want to say who's the best on Ben Crenshaw course designs. Oh, there you go. You can just click on that, or length, location, like you can do that. And that's why I have this set up this way as well, because there's some weeks in which maybe the weather is like the biggest data point that we have. Like it's a terrible weather event, and we can see it's supposed to be normal weather, at least for now. You could check that out right here. It's just an awesome feature. And maybe this is where you're making like a 50-50 decision maker, where you don't know who to be on, or you're deciding between 2 players. Come in here, say, oh, weather I think is going to be huge this week. Let's see who ranks out better weather-wise. Be a great way to go ahead and figure that out. So I did just realize that I didn't mention like the constraint from which we are pulling in the specialist data. It's going to be looking at the last 7 starts for each of those data points and combining that into an average. Just wanted you guys to have that information in case you were wondering. So now let's go ahead and get back into the cheat sheet. I want to show you guys these tabs. And yeah, I think I might add like a value report right here, just FYI. But let's get into this. Ownership leverage. This is the same tool that it has been, just slightly different view. I want it to be as straightforward as possible. Didn't really care about the aesthetic like I had on the previous one. So what you can do is sort by players. Okay. Finish based on ownership. This is pretty much saying that whatever the public has them projected at ownership wise, this is how they are valuing that player. This is their projected finish based off of that ownership. Okay. So a fun thing there. You could sort by salary, projected ownership, and leverage rank. Let's say you just want to be looking at like the top 12 leverage rank plays on the slate. You can do that. Okay. Or let's say you want to look at the over-owned plays. You can do that as well. One thing I want to point out is that a lot of the times just bad value plays will rank out as bad leverage plays because they're not good plays. Okay. Just because someone is under-owned doesn't mean they're a good play. And just because someone has a high ownership doesn't mean they're over-owned. And that's what this tool is trying to tell us. But let's say you just want to get players that are good enough plays, but also under-owned. You would just bump up like the projected ownership and then maybe scale this in a little bit. Okay. Obviously smaller tournament field event, not going to be a big thing. Do want to call out as well, the projected ownership that will update most of the time on Tuesday afternoon. It kind of differs for each tournament, typically Tuesday afternoon. Okay. For the main events, it'll be there. For some of the weird secondary events, not always there, just an FYI. And then leverage tag. Okay. This is over-owned, properly owned, slightly under-owned, there's more to that, like fades and whatnot, but with a limited field, we don't have that much. And with no one having ownership just yet, we don't have that. I'm recording this before the tournament, so that's why we don't have ownership projections. So let's look at this leverage gained. Okay. This is basically just a data point of like how much they're undervalued. Okay. So obviously right now, Rory, he's not playing. He would be very undervalued at 0%. Okay. Same thing with Jon Rahm. And we can see just a comparison, like it's telling us who is undervalued. Okay. Which is awesome. Another thing would be return value finishing position. This is where they would have to finish based off of their projected ownerships. So I did toss in some generic ownerships here for you guys. So based off of that, these players being the top 4 highest owned players, they would be valued at a top 5 finish, if that makes sense. Okay, just so you know. So now let's go ahead and let's get back into the cheat sheet and let's show you guys the lineup tool. Same tool that it has been. I feel like this is a little bit easier. So let's say you have your lineup in mind and you want to see what it would look like on paper. This will show you guys what it is. So I don't know. I'm just putting in random players. So we got 6 players in there and we can see kind of what the lineup is projected to do, as well as some of the key metrics like strokes gained, total, last 5, strokes gained tee to green, last 5. We can see that. We can see course history rank average, recent form average, specialist average, stat rank average, model rank average. We can see all that. And it's just a nice view to have, I think, just to be able to see it on paper. All right, now what I'm excited to show you guys is going to be the custom model, and I'm going to do a separate video on this as well, but I'll show you guys that here as well. So just an FYI, this will probably take a little bit to load. There's a lot of data pretty much. Okay, so I'm super excited about this because some people wanted this and I think it's going to be huge. Okay, first things first, we got player details. If you just wanted to sort by one of these, then you would click on this. So if you just wanted to sort by recent form, then you would click on that, because the custom model data points is just going to be focused in on that. And then you can't click in on anything else after that, just so you know. So I'm going to go ahead and click all those in there because I want them all in there. And then this is the huge thing, custom model data. These are going to be the data points that this cheat sheet here is going to filter on. Okay, so pretty awesome. So I don't know, let's just do some random stuff. I'm going to do recent form 1, recent form 2, H1, H2. I'm just doing random stuff for this. Birdie or better percentage, par 5, and then let's do, I don't know, weather. And that's something too. The specialist data is in there as well. And let's just do course designer as well. Okay, so we have all the data points in there that we want. Give it a couple of seconds and it's going to filter that. Okay. With that, we can see which players are popping up the most in your own custom model. Okay. Which is awesome. So the way that you would go about using this, let's say, oh, I'm good with this. I like this. You would go here, click export, and then you don't have to change the name at all. You can just export it like this. Okay. It's going to download it right here and then just scroll down a little bit into this tab. And then you can upload the data, upload CSV, and then you upload your lineups. Click save and they're all there, which is so awesome. Okay. And the way I'm going to use this, guys, like obviously the 9 to 5 data and whatnot, I would suggest you guys stick to that. Okay. It's years in the making. Pretty solid stuff there. But let's say there's some slight stuff that you want to focus on, like ownership tag. Nothing in it right now, but let's say you didn't want anyone that was over owned. Okay. You can click on this. Or let's just say you want some really strong leverage rank lineups. You would click on that. Okay. Another one, data tag. Okay. Let's just say you want the core plays and high exposure plays in there from the data tag. You can click it right there. Let's take it a step further. Let's just say you want to look at AM only tee times or PM only tee times, depending on the weather. Like this will be huge for showdowns. You can do that here as well. So that is where I'm very excited, guys. And just speaking of that, like for showdown purposes, I do have round 1 scoring in there as well, included in there. So like, or round 2, round 3, round 4, we have that in there. So like let's just say we're going into round 2, and obviously they all have AMT times for this tournament. It's a small tournament. You would do that, and then you could really make your own lineups based off of the AMT time. And it's just as simple as that. And then, I don't know, we could do generate lineup, and that's how fast that tool is. So I don't know. I'm super excited for that, guys. Once again, you export it right here. And now obviously you could do by salary as well. The point of this is like, there are times in which I'm like, I just want to do studs and duds. Okay. So I would just do like something like this if I just want to do studs and duds. All right, I have to take the filter off. All right, I had to take the filter off there. So like this would be a way about doing that as well. And then you just export that. So I'm excited for this tool. Now let's go ahead and let's get back into the cheat sheet. Just an FYI, the custom model and the player log would pop up into a different window. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you guys the player log. Once again, just provide some time for it to load. You are clicking into a new tab there. So the player log is really designed to show you guys the big general view. Like if you want to look at tournament by tournament, this is how you can look at it. Okay, we still have all the same like specialist data you can look at. You can sort by the last year or so to see how they finished, or if you just want to see those starts, that's how you can view it. Okay, so we can see all those starts. And then we kind of show you guys how they ranked out strokes gained wise and whatnot throughout the years and months and whatnot, whatever you have it sorted by. So I think that's pretty awesome. It's a cool thing. You can see some trend lines for some players. Also, we do have the specialist view if you want to view it that way. So you can see how they've ranked out in certain settings. So same thing. I don't know. Let's just look at the past year. Okay. So we have it sorted by, this is course designer, weather, style, length, event, green type. So we have it sorted by all that stuff. And that's where this tool is going to show you guys. So just another view for it. I think it's awesome. But that is the cheat sheet. A lot to go through, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys got it down. I think it's pretty simple to follow, but also I know it can be confusing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, well, you don't have to give a like and subscribe because this is just a simple how-to video that I'll be posting probably on YouTube. All right. If you have any questions, make sure to reach out on the Discord chat and ask.